Welcome. Thanks for coming out. It's been fun so far. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I liked it. I got out of jail for a couple days. That's good. It's always nice. It's just a true story. Yeah, I think anyone who goes in, as many of us do, appreciate our freedom. So it's beautiful that we're free to have a conference like this. But I'm Reverend Matt Weiss, and my counterpart, Reverend Vince Stanley. I work as the chaplain for the St. Louis City jails, and Reverend Stanley. That wasn't very official, was it? No. Okay. Reverend Stanley.
He still called me late.
Okay. He's the chaplain for the St. Louis County jails. We work for an organization called Humanitri. And our organization supplies chaplains to the St. Louis City and County jails for free. So we are the divisional chaplain, but we just don't charge them anything for it. So first, as we start, I have a question for you. And this should be an easy question, but sometimes I am surprised. What is the difference between a jail and a prison?
Jail's county, prison state.
What does county mean? What does it mean that it's county?
It's localized in a county.
Okay. What else?
Jail is pre-sentence, pre-trial pre-sentence.
All right.
Length of stay in Wisconsin, a year or more, you go to the prison, shorter stays.
Unless you're pre-trial for a murder in St. Louis City, then welcome 2 or 3 years. That's how we do it. Yeah.
Well, the county is 24/7 lockdown, pretty much.
Is that where you guys are at?
That's where I go. And in prison, you can go to the yard.
Right.
More free.
Right. Sir.
In Maryland, we have detention center, which is for being incarcerated 18 months or less.
Okay. 18 months or less, yeah. Very good. Yes, sir.
Prison may have more programs, education, things like that.
Very good. All good answers. Normally when I speak to people, they look at me like I'm crazy. But I am crazy, so I don't really discount it. But they usually seem like they have other reasons for that as well. But we put that out to make that distinction. We work in a jail, which again is very different. And that's what I'm going to start to talk about a little bit, the culture of working in a jail. I think that the plenary on criminal mentality was great for me because I don't have to talk about half the stuff I was going to say before. And I thought it was wonderful because the criminal mind is obviously why people are criminals. It's just kind of how it goes. So what I'm going to do is start to go through some of these things. But we don't want to talk at you. So we're going to start talking. I'll talk for a little bit. Reverend Stanley will talk for a little bit. Just stop us. We want to know what you want to get out of this. So stop us, and if I don't feel like calling you on you, I won't. It's just how it goes. It's kind of how I do it. But jail is different again from prison in certain ways. One thing that is the same is count. You guys been in a jail? Count, right? How many times a day do we count in you guys' places? Twice a day? 3?
6, 8.
Really?
For a prison.
Okay. Yeah. So in St. Louis City and the county, we count you guys 3 times a day or 4? Okay. Yeah, we count 3 times a day. And if anybody's ever had to deal with count, what happens when count doesn't clear? Nothing, right? And so, planning for that is difficult because, count didn't clear. One day I went home, we count at 10:30, and I just gave up at 3:30. It was like, count, recount, full rack, card count, and so you just never know. And then, not that this ever happens in your facilities, but what happens if there's a fight?
Lockdown.
Right. So environmentally, it can make it very difficult and sometimes frustrating if you don't go into the mentality that these are things that you have to deal with. So if there's a fight during count, if there's a fight during chat, it's just one of those things you have to do. I don't know about the facilities that you guys have been at or will go to, but overcrowding in our country, again, we're the largest percentage of incarcerated people in the world. And in St. Louis City and county, I guess, how crowded are you in county, Vince?
We're way over
Okay.
capacity, like we're 250 over.
You guys over capacity where you guys are at? Yeah, you got 3 guys in a 2-man cell, 2 guys in a 1-man cell. Well, and one facility that I serve is barrack style. So it's just like a room like this with 100 guys in it, And so again, fights happen when you don't have any place to lock your stuff up and things like that. The court system. I don't know how what you guys' involvement of dealing with with the court system, but here, at least in St. Louis City, we have what's called a docket, and we're bogged down, and sometimes actually the municipalities will use that to their advantage, because if a guy comes in and knows, like in St. Louis City, like I said, if you're on a medium security charge, you want to take anything to trial, you'll be there at least a year, and so you could have whatever, stealing over 500, Class C felony, and you're gonna, if you want to fight it, you're gonna be there a year. Well, it behooves the system in a certain sense to have that, because the guy, no, man, I'm gonna have to sit at the workhouse for a year. So just go ahead and give me some probation or give me something. I'll take the conviction. Well, then when they're, come down and they got 3 or 4 strikes against them, when they go and they've been to the penitentiary 2 times or whatever, then, they come and hit them with the whop, as they say. Or the LWOP. You guys know what an LWOP is? Life without the possibility of parole. Yeah. Socially, jail, as many of you all know, is absolutely opposite from how our society works. And I realized, it dawned on me that everything that our society generally sees as good is considered weak or worthless in jail. So honesty, how is honesty? You can talk and just, yeah. Those are lames, right? What about people who are caring? Suckers. Yeah? Yeah. What about people who do the right thing and see something bad occurring and tell the authorities? Rats, snitches. Right. Right. And the number one thing is respect. And it's a whole different understanding of respect. And a lot of times in our society we say, well, I respect you because of you've succeeded in life. Or I respect you because you're a good person. There's something worthwhile is what we respect. In jail, it's reputation and how violent and merciless you can be in whatever situation you come. How you can control the people that you're around. How you can manipulate people. How you can lie. Who's the best liar? Who's the strongest? Who can beat people into making them not want to mess with them? Who can sell the most dope? Who can get people to bring in the most dope for them so they can get high and they can sell dope? And going in that, I've seen people many times, inmates, officers, other staff members, make huge mistakes as far as it goes with respect. Because when you take everything away from a person, there are certain intangible things that you cannot take. Anger, respect. You can't take that. You can't beat that out of people. So people's reputation, that's what keeps them alive. That's how they keep themselves. And it's a false sense of security in a certain sense. I mean, it's self-defeating, because a lot of times people disrespect other people to get respect, and then, next thing you know, they're getting stabbed in the shower. So obviously it's not the most functional model, but for them, that's what they appeal. So if you do anything to attack that respect, they're not seeing that as, oh, this person's just making fun of me. This person is taking away my ability to protect myself. This person is taking away my status among other people. Because really the thing that motivates most people is greed and fear. And I mean, inmates will never, man, I'm not afraid of this, man. This is, you can't tell me anything. But they're afraid. They're afraid of what other inmates think of them. They're afraid of being taken advantage of. They're afraid of getting hurt. And it's a huge motivator for people. So with all that mixed up, if people feel disrespected, they will act instantly and violently, a lot of times. It doesn't matter who you are. In the St. Louis County Jail, was that the counselor? Was that the psychologist? Yeah, the psychiatrist got, it wasn't for lack of effort. She didn't get beat to death, And because she took a risk and, Yeah, she didn't have backup, and the guy felt, disrespected or felt whatever, and he took action. Especially people don't have good verbal skills. They're not going to say, you know what, that really hurt my feelings, what you said. I would really respect and appreciate if you would address me in a different manner. No, they're just going to punch somebody right in the face. That's what happens, Problem done, You don't wake up, okay, good. You know what I mean? It's problem solved for now. And manipulation. Name of the game. I normally, I'm not really good with percentages, but I would say that conservatively, I'm trying to be manipulated, I would say 120 to 125% of the day, in jail. Roughly, of course. And that's what people do. That is the person who can manipulate, the person who can lie the best, the person who can get things. And it's a different mentality. It's a mentality of I have to get from people what I want. And so, like, if you go in that environment and you do something nice for people, guess what? They just got over on you. It's a totally different way of thinking, It's not that, oh, this person's kind and they did a good turn. Man, I just got over on that dude. Or whoever. And then guess what? If they got over on you once, guess what that is? That's an invitation, right? You know what I mean? You don't have to RSVP to that party. She's already there. Drug abuse. We had some statistic yesterday about drug abuse. And then mental illness. We'll tag that on there. You guys you work with, how big an issue is it? It's huge. St. Louis City has a heroin epidemic right now. Absolutely amazing. Back in St. Louis City and in the prison system in Missouri, it was considered a white drug for a long time. Black tar heroin. Guys were shooting dope. Well, you got to break it down. You have to shoot it, right? Well, now they have something called China white heroin here in St. Louis. Powder form. You can snort it. So we got 15, 16, 17-year-old little girls, guys, getting high, committing lots and lots and lots of crimes. And it's a hard cycle to break. Meth in a lot of communities, rural, urban communities, meth is kind of just sort of hitting here. But it's just created a wake. But it's absolutely a part of the culture. Being a drug addict is a lifestyle. And there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that lifestyle besides just getting high. So like if you're in jail, well, in St. Louis, I wouldn't say that. I'm not going to tell you where to go get heroin in St. Louis, but you can go do it. I'm just tell you. It's not hard. But when you go to a correctional facility, it gets a little bit more difficult. There's more layers to it. So you got to get, and if you guys don't know this, I'll ask you another question. Who brings dope, or how do inmates get dope into a jail?
Correctional officer.
Hey, yeah.
Well, I'm going to a lot in New Mexico. It's usually the grandfathers who bring it in, but they don't know it.
Really?
Yeah, very bad.
We've had, we have to,
Family members.
yeah, family members. There's really, especially like where we're at in jail, they don't have contact visits. Well, they broke the screen one time in the visiting booth. It was like they somehow worked it out so they could slide. They were getting dope in through the visiting cage. So now you have to look through like this big mesh chicken wire thing, and then you can't see because people were sliding dope in there. But it's a culture, so it's even the whole thing. You're bored, but if you got to do all these things just to get high, it creates something to do. It creates and it's exciting. Like it was said yesterday, if it wasn't against the law, I wouldn't do it. It's a rush. So you got to pay this correctional officer or this nurse or get such and such to sneak it in, and then you got to hide it. You only got this little jail cell. You got to hide it. You got to fit it up. There's going to be shakedown search. You got to worry about snitches. You got to worry about your competition. It's a full-time job. And so with all that, that's the panoramic view. Again, when relationships become quite different. When you're dealing, again, with people that have a totally different mentality or see things in a totally different place. There are institutional, again, difficulties, court difficulties, social situations. Don't even get into like the baby mama drama, stuff. That adds another level to it. And the victim mentality and all that stuff that we heard about yesterday. And so the thing is that with respect being the number one thing, if you're going to be in a jail environment, you've got to make a name for yourself. It doesn't matter if you're an officer, an inmate, the chaplain, a volunteer. Everybody works on it's reputation based, and everybody gets tested. When you go in, in jail you cannot sit on the fence. You're either one way or you're another way, and people are going to find out which one it is. And if you waver at all, again, it's an invitation. It's an invitation. Oh man, this guy's online. I'm gonna get some dope through her. Get some dope through him. They're gonna take my calls. They're gonna pay my bond. I'll get them to commit witness tampering if they will. Just call my ex-girlfriend. She's really a nice person. She just doesn't understand me. Yeah. Okay.
In prison, I know jail is a high turnover, but in prison, it's not unusual for an inmate to work 3 to 5 to 7 years to set up a contract.
Right. And this is, it brings up a good point. There's a common misconception that inmates are fools, or that they're just like the village idiot. Absolutely not. They are some of the most intelligent, maybe undereducated. But if you go blind, what happens to your sense of smell? It's great. If you can't express yourself, and if you can't work in a certain way, if you can't speak or communicate, or you can't read, well, your other skills get heightened. And these guys, they're professionals. And I remember this guy. I was in a dorm with the guy, and this little youngster was trying to run some game. He wanted a phone call. The phone call is a big thing, because in St. Louis City it costs 50 cents a minute for a local call. For a 15-minute. So I think price gouging is illegal. Isn't that in the free world? Yeah. It's not really not in jail, I guess. You can 87 cents for a ramen noodle right now. Yeah. So in that whole thing, making a name for yourself, you got to be known as something. Hippy dippy priest, right? That was what he was known as. And I guarantee you, when Pastor Rivette, when he was in Marion for as long as he was, or when he was in Phoenix, or when he was in Atlanta, or wherever the places he was, people knew the hippy dippy priest. That name walked the yard. That made Con Air to all the different places, And you're either going to be known for something good, or you're going to be known for something bad. There's not really two ways about it. People see you as either predator or prey. And that's how it is. It doesn't matter if we like it or not. That's just how it goes. And people will put you in either of those categories. We got this little nun that comes to the city jail to teach an anger management class. That's the toughest broad she is not afraid. She is not afraid. And I tell guys, because I help her sign, because I appreciate her, she does such a great job. I get people for her, because she can't go in a housing unit, so I go into housing units and I sign her up, That's the only program I do, because I respect her, because she has a good name. Because she's all the way from Potosi to Bonne Terre to all over here. But I tell them, I said, look, don't make the mistake of getting on sister's bad side, because she'll tell you to kick rocks, She'll say, if you don't want to be here, beat it. And a couple guys didn't believe me, and they got sent out of the class in the middle of it and didn't come back. But I really enjoyed it. Well, yeah, you messed up, partner. Sorry. Yeah.
How often does she come there?
She comes once a week at the maximum security jail and once a week at the medium security jail. Yeah. She's good. Not enough good people like that. Liz?
Are you advocating throwing people out of church if they're not engaged?
Absolutely. I do. And because it's an issue of respect. And so when I give, Bible studies, I go and I say, look, this is not my time, this is God's time. So because the other thing that, we don't have a big chapel. Well, at the medium security jail we have one, but at the jail, it's multi-purpose rooms or things like that. When you go in there, guess what people like to do in church? Guess what the church is? It's a place to hit a lick. If you don't know what that means, it's a place to pass dope. It's a a place to get together with the other homeboys that live in different wings or different dorms. And that's the place where they can meet together. So they're maybe very attentive, putting balloons of heroin next to each other. So, what's that?
For gang meetings.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially like in certain places, they don't ever get, like in the maximum security, they're in their pods. They don't ever get, across unless they go to medical or go to court. So it's a respect thing. So when I tell guys, this is God's time. And I might allow you to mess with my time, but I'm not going to let you mess around with God's time. So if you're here, you got to be here for this reason. And if not, then go. And if you talk out of turn, you're just telling me you want to go back to your wing. Just go back. You don't make me do that. And I've never had to send anybody back because it sets up a level of respect and understanding that you're here for this person. It creates a boundary of saying, this is what we're here for. And if you're not about that, I respect that. But you can't do it here. So you got to go. And they respect it, but I also keep 5 or 10 minutes at the end. So, you want to talk with your homeboys? Okay, I'll give you a couple minutes at the end, just out of respect. I understand, what the situation is, so I give them a little bit. Well, I'm going to turn the table over here, and then we're going to leave some more time for discussion at the end and questions.